Well, welcome to the podcast. We have an incredible guest with us today, one of our friends, mentors, teachers, an amazing coach, wonderful human being. You're going to have such a blast listening to this. Welcome, Bev Aron.
Thank you. I'm going to have a blast being here with you for all this time. What a treat for me.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I have to gush for a second. Um,
Okay.
I learned everything that was important about coaching from Bev. So if anyone has already read the Superabound book, there is a chapter on static, which is what we talk about as the internal drama that sometimes keeps us feeling stuck and confused and, just the hard stuff of our life. Well, way back when in my first coach certification, Bev was my trainer. And I wrote about how I think she felt my discomfort from like every pore of my body when we started to talk about feelings and emotions. And Bev, you're such an expert on this. Um, I think the first time you coached me on feelings, I sobbed like uncontrollably in front of many people, and it was not the last time. I definitely credit you all the time for being the person that let me know that our feelings carry wisdom and our feelings are not meant to be shoved aside, dissected, thrown in the garbage. Like our feelings actually have so much to offer us and they deserve their airtime. So I just want to thank you because that's been probably the biggest shift, not just in my coaching, but in my personal life. So I can't wait for everyone to hear what you're going to tell us because I, I would not be where I am personally or professionally today without everything I've learned from you, but very specifically the work around emotions and feelings.
Thank you for that beautiful recommendation. And also, you absolutely would be there because you would have found it. The reason you are where you are today is your own drive for growth and discovery. And I was just fortunate to be along the journey with you.
Yeah.
So sweet. I'm gonna cry already. Okay. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. The other piece, I will let you speak, I promise, Steve. This is how we do it. You're just gonna sit there and look pretty. One of the
Really
things that
does.
I often think about, there was another moment kind of later in my coaching journey where you were offering your very first training, your own personal deep dive certification.
Yep.
And I had this moment where I was like, okay, do I want to take my coaching deeper? Do I want to take my own growth and development further? Or do I want to like take that money I was going to do something with and put it into marketing and strategy and all of the things that typical business owners usually do.
Mm-hmm.
You said something that I thought was very profound, and it's something I've actually come to believe is true and live by, that we can only really take people as far as we are willing to go
Yeah.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Your work has helped my business tremendously because it has helped me develop. And I think that even business owners who maybe aren't coaches, maybe they're not in the helping profession, I think sometimes what happens is we stop putting focus on our own well-being and our own personal development
Mm-hmm.
and forget that who you are, if you're selling something, who you are is a reflection of the product.
100%. And the reason it's so easy to forget it is that we have our tools, whatever profession we're in, and it's so easy to just fake it, really, which is we use the tools, we offer the tools. Doesn't feel like faking, we're doing everything we taught, but our being is not right there aligned with it. And so there's something a bit off, but we can't even put a word to it. And it's so common, I think, that even our clients can't put a word to it until they experience the kind of work that you and Steve do, which is all the tool mastery with the personal alignment. And then it's like magic.
It's a powerful thing. What is it about personal development that is so effective for leadership, business ownership, entrepreneurship? Like, why do those two complement each other the way they do in your
Mm.
experience?
I think the reason is that, especially as adults, this is what I learned this in adult education, but it's probably true for children too. And that's that our learning comes from the experience and the process, not really the content. So we can give all the content and get beautiful content, and even, of course, get like AI to write it for us. And it will land with some people who are very cognitive and very cerebral, but even those people are waiting for the experience. And so when we're coming and we're in it, we're very aligned and we're very landed and centered in our product, then whatever we send out carries that experience, which makes it rich and whole, and I think very, very attractive. And so and our development and whatever we're delivering, whether it's the selling or the actual delivering of the product, just makes it so much easier to receive for our people, even if they can't explain why.
Well, and I think it brings us back to kind of a core adage in selling of people buy from people they like, which kind
Yes,
of brings you into the who am I as the business owner? Who am I as the person who's selling? We've all had that experience working with someone on the other end of the phone where you're like, not going to buy from them, just not feeling it, not feeling like they're on my
yes,
side or that they're kind of in it for the right reasons. And same with
yes,
the opposite. When you really connect with someone, you're like, what do you have to sell me? What can I buy from you? Because I like you so much. I just want to do business together. And so
totally.
that really highlights the importance of where you're coming from as a business owner, what kind of work you've done on your mindset, on the product, on your ability to connect with your audience in a very authentic way.
Totally. I remember when I was starting out as a coach, I found this acupuncturist, Esther Yu, for anyone who lives in Toronto, Complete Balance, and she was also starting out. In fact, my babysitter found her from a Groupon coupon. That's how new she was. And she was often away. And I remember she said to me, anytime I don't have enough patience, it means I need to learn more. I need to do more education.
Mm.
And it was such an eye opener for me because what we were being taught was, do more marketing. And she has this thriving clinic now. She's very specialized in neurological disorders, and I think that was the start of it for me. That's the way you grow a business, is you just keep learning more and growing more. And in coaching, I think it's developing yourself more personally as well, and
Yeah,
it's so much more fun.
so much more fun.
Fun.
Something I love about you. It's one of many things I love about you, but something I love about you is that you are open to and you do expose your students to like plenty of different modalities. I think it
Yes,
was, just to kind of talk about coaching because that's how our connection
yes,
came to be. I think sometimes coaches get into like a silo where they have like their tools that they learned from their first program that they ever went to, and then anything outside of that couldn't be right because it may ask them to question the very first things that they learned. But then they
yes,
find that they're not growing because they haven't gone beyond those foundational things and frameworks and worksheets and all of the things that a million other people are also building their business upon. I think something that sets you apart that I've always admired about you is that willingness to bring in new teaching. I've heard you say so many times with total humility, like, I used to think this was how it works. Turns out I was wrong. Actually, there's new research that says this.
right.
You're more interested, I think this is my interpretation of it, you're more interested in the development and the support of the people you work with rather than being right.
Yes. I think that anytime we're too attached, we have to feel how that experience of being attached, it feels closed and rigid. And that's not where we want to come from. So I'll tell a little story if you don't mind. I
Yeah.
remember my first degree was in speech pathology, and this was in South Africa. I was on the board of our speech pathology association. I was 20. I was a brand new graduate. And there was this teacher who wrote a book about stuttering and how to treat it. And we were sitting there, Speech Pathology Board of South Africa, everyone was in knots. And what are we going to do? And, very sort of, this is ours. And her name was Peggy Warhouse. She was the stuttering expert of speech pathology. And she said, let's not sit on our laurels when we have no laurels to sit on. I don't know if sitting on your laurels is known in this part of the world, but we didn't know how to cure stuttering. And I've never forgotten that. As soon as she said it to me, it just landed on me. And I was like, oh, yes, this is who you want to be. So, I got that very, very early on, and it just feels open and it feels, humble and real.
That shifted so much for me, because I had never seen a teacher with so much experience and expertise really be curious, authentically curious, which is so ironic because, in the coaching world, we're supposed to be curious at all times. And I think it kind of lends to how you have created a whole community of entrepreneurs, of coaches, of just people who are interested in self-development as a life skill, because you're willing to create and develop. So I don't know if you'd be willing to share some of your tools for how you create new things, how you question the old paradigms in a way that actually supports growth for other people.
Yes, as one simple tool, which is being connected to how it feels. Because we don't want to just try everything that we come across. Some of the things that we come across are not helpful or useful for us. And I think trying to analyze them sort of rationally is very challenging, because any offering we get, we can always find what's amazing about it and what's not great about it. So it can feel very confusing. So whether it's a new tool I come across or a tool I think that I develop or a new program, it's always how it feels. And if it's something coming from me, then it's always, it feels like a message, not from my brain. So it's like, oh, let's sit down and figure out how can we do this and where could I fit it in? That, for me, it just doesn't work, and it always feels very stilted. I just wait until something comes to me, an idea, and then I feel how it feels. And if it feels open and exciting, then we just go. I don't sort of analyze or do projections or how much will it cost compared to, we just go. And if someone offers it to me, same thing, offers me an idea, I just feel it. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I realize, show me the projections. I realize it could, make a lot of money or be very effective, but it's just it's not for me. It's beautiful. It's in the world. So it's a matter of constantly being connected to our inner wisdom and our feelings. As you said, Aron, very hard to do this if we are disconnected. If we're connected, then it's like an instant decision. Connected, firstly, it comes easily. And secondly, instant decision. Do we go or don't we go? And do we just pivot whenever a new idea comes? It's very fun way to run a business and coaching practice.
I can feel the joy, the fun coming from that approach. Has that changed for you over time? I'm brought to the different models of how people work, right? There's the analytical types and the influential types and the decisive types. Nowhere in that model is the it feels good emotional type. So where does that fit within kind of the standard leadership development or how people work assessment model? Where is that?
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. So I guess there are, if you think of Myers-Briggs, I'm not an expert, but they have the I, the intuitive. So maybe it fits there. And if I think of Clifton Strengths, for example, Strengths Finder, all their strengths are divided into different quadrants, and there's the heart strength, which is one of the quadrants. And course, 4 out of my top 5 ones are in the heart strength. So I think there is a space for it. I'm just not sure it's valued as much as it could be. Maybe that's what it is. And I think it was easier for me because when I became a coach, I became a coach when life coaching was really not well known and fringe. And so there was no information about how to build your business or how you should do it. So the only way to do it, yes, people could have gone and taken courses, out of the industry, but in the industry, there was really very little teaching. So it was like, just go out and help people. So it was an environment that kind of supported, like, just make it up, do the best you can, and go find the people to help.
Well, what it connects with for me in our book, we have the idea of being connected with your vision. And that feels uplifting. That feels aligned and attuned. There's that deep energetic, we talk about that as a source of free energy. And so that doesn't mean do away with the numbers and the projections and the, how this fits into the larger picture of my business. But if that element isn't there, something is off. It's not going to get you to where you want to be on the mountain. You might be going in circles in the goal swamp, as we say, if that sense of uplift and purpose and connection is missing.
Yes, I totally love the amount of focus you put on that aspect of growing and leading. And I think even if you do get there, maybe it's not going to feel great. It's not going to give you what you want. It might give you what you want in terms of the title or the money, but it won't give you what you want in terms of what we really want, which is to feel fulfilled and productive and, contributing in the way that we think we were meant to contribute.
And you've created so many ways in which people can find those feelings, first not have the blockers up that most of us were taught to put up and, just suck it up and do the hard thing. You created something called the Bar Free business course at some point. And I was like, I love that. It doesn't always have to feel like a struggle. Yeah. I think the way that you have supported so many of your students and your clients is to create lives where they can feel that sense of expansion, that sense of connection, that sense of joy and fun along the journey, rather than trying to place it at the end where so often it is not found. Like, unfortunately, those moments where you get the title often don't feel great because they're not necessarily always aligned, or it is a fleeting moment. How do you teach people? I mean, I think I know, but I'd love to hear in your words because they'll be more profound. How do you teach people how to start to access how they feel as they're moving towards those important moments?
I'm going to tell you, I just want to go back to what you were saying about the different ways of doing it. And the thing is, there's no research to show that doing it by, hating it and wanting to vomit the whole time is more effective, more impactful, gets you more success than doing it when you're following your wisdom and your feelings. I think that's important to say because people are like, oh, that's very nice, but I have to pay the bills. There's no research that proves that you're going to get to pay the bills more easily if you hate it than if you love it. So I think we need to say that.
Thank you. Yes, she said it.
Okay, how you do it. So the first thing is some of us are more connected because of, our life experiences. Who knows what all the reasons are. And so it's really just a matter of believe that the message will be there for you, know that it's there, and create space and time for yourself to do it. If silence is best for you, if walking is best, I like to go to sleep and just know that it'll come to me. Like if I have a class to prepare and tomorrow's the day, I just like to go to sleep and just expect that it'll be there. It might come in the middle of the night, might come when I wake up, might come when I'm getting dressed, but just know it's right there. But I would say, and I'm sure Aron and Steve, for all the people that you've worked with, for most people, it's not accessible, again, for whatever their life experience has been or their DNA, I don't know what it is. And for those people to ask them, oh, just get still and feel it, it could be quite discomforting. It could feel scary. It could feel inaccessible. They might think there's something wrong with them. So what we know is that we need another person then. We need to have had that experience of quiet and going inside yourself, being safe and held at some point in our lives, is some important relationship in our lives. So if we have that, then we can do it on our own because we've internalized it. If we haven't, it's really important that we don't just say to somebody, you know, glibly, like, oh, just get still, just close your eyes and go, because it could be a very scary place. So that's where people like you and Steve come in, which is, for your listeners, you need to create somehow or another a relationship where you are taught how to do it that feels extremely safe and spacious and ongoing. And that is how you develop the ability to do it on your own.
Well, you've been that so many times for me. And
I'm
and you've also created a membership where you're now opening it up to the world.
Yep.
To have that safety, to have that community, have that kind of club fun vibe within the space of personal development. Because I think even in a one-on-one container, it's a beautiful thing to feel that safety, but there's something very uplifting about having a community of other folks who are all prioritizing their inner wisdom, who are all learning how to listen more deeply to what they want. So, I mean, I don't know if you're sharing this with the world yet, but maybe you could kind of give everybody a sneak peek of what's happening with your membership.
Oh, I would love to. So it's a year old, and I started it. It was quite formal. It was called the monthly deep dive learning club, and it was going to be learning and coaching and sort of quite distant. It was webinars, and I was going to be doing the teaching and doing the coaching. And so we've been going for a year. It's been a lot of growth, and I totally agree with you, Aron. Doing deep processing and knowing that there's other people, it just increases the impact of it and the feeling of safety enormously. So now we're going into year 2, and yes, I'm happy to share it because we're enrolling this right now.
Lucky listeners.
Lucky listeners. And this Saturday, I woke up and I realized, oh, it's a club. It's the Deep Dive Club, and I'm making it much more casual. Instead of webinars, we're going to be on Zoom meetings, so everybody will be able to see each other and feel the safety. We're going to be doing tons of coaching, tons of learning, and making it as much of a community as we can without having this free-flowing forum that people love. But when I was doing a call this week, somebody wrote in the Q&A, being in this series, which is now a club, is like being at a mini spa retreat.
Yes.
And I want to make sure that every single aspect of it is that.
Yeah.
And there's not really a way to do that when people can, come on at any time and talk. So it's being very controlled, that to ensure that every single experience feels incredibly safe, incredibly warm, incredibly able to internalize that feeling of, oh, I can be connected with myself and it's a safe place to be. So we're gonna have 6 hours of 2 hours of learning, 4 hours of coaching every month, spread out. And we're going to have topics, and we're going to have opportunities to coach on whatever people want. Anything is welcome. We can handle all the things. Aron, I know you're coaching for us because I'm going to be bringing in some of my deep dive coaches, which Aron's always first on my list, which is very, very fun. And this month we have a really good offer. Maybe I'll just say that, and people can go see what the offer is, or should I say it?
I mean, I think you should say it.
Well, I'll just say it.
And where they can go.
Yes, absolutely.
And where they can go. Okay, I love it. So this belonging to this club, which everyone wants to do, is $1,500 for the year. You can also pay $150 a month. But for August, we have a 2 for 2,000 offer, which I'm so excited about. Also just came to me one day when I woke up. And so you can sign up with a friend for $2,000. Costs you $1,000 each, unless you also want to do some private coaching with me, and then you get the ultimate plan, which you can find it all at bevaron.com.
And we'll have that in the show notes for folks looking for it.
Thank you.
Highly recommend having someone who's close to you on the journey with you, like having a friend work through these things, having someone who's also in your life who's like witnessing your own growth. It's so fun. I think we're so used to as a society celebrating like the big moments and the big milestones, but when there's no one along the way who's really seen how the journey unfolds, like I like to say, like we get like a backstage pass into the growth of other people, knowing that there's someone alongside, knowing that there's someone with you climbing that mountain is a really beautiful and impactful thing. So
it really is. It totally doubles it. And you want to make sure it's somebody who is thinking like you and who will help you witness and hold space for what you're developing without sort of questioning it too much or bringing in other perspectives. Because this kind of growth, I love to think about it like it's like a little baby when it's just emerging, like a little baby inside us, and we want to treat it very, very carefully and tenderly. So bring that person along on the journey with you.
So we're talking a lot about relationships and the power that they have for holding our growth, for being part of our journey of transformation. I also see that relationships are part of the joy of the journey. They're not the thing we're trying to get. They're the thing that enriches this moment. So they're valuable on their own. They need tending and care on their own. We've also found that for selling, for growing the business, using that power, using that connection, not in a transactional way, but in a joy-led, vision-aligned way, is the best way. That relationship-based selling is, it's more fulfilling, it's more effective, it's more, I don't know, not sleazy, right?
It's not sleazy, but it's also just easier.
Yeah, easier.
Yes.
You are someone who exemplifies that. And I'd love to hear about your approach and how you've kind of built that over time with your business.
Okay, so like I said, when we started out, right, no learning, and I had this coach, and her name was Meadow DeVore, and she taught us. We blogged to start our businesses. That's how long ago I started my business. And blogging was brand new. It was very, very original, very like cutting edge, so cool. And she taught us, when you're writing, imagine that woman at 12 o'clock midnight or 1 o'clock, and she's on her bed with her laptop and she's searching. I need help with, and it's whatever you help with, and write to her. Actually makes me feel so emotional remembering that. It was such a beautiful idea. Just this woman in the, like somewhere in the world, and she's just got a little bedside lamp on, and she's like struggling, like, how can I? Whatever we want to help with. And so that's how I learned to write. And now I only will allow myself to write anything, whether it's selling or information, when I'm connected with that. Now I imagine a much bigger audience, because that's what I'm working with now, is, groups and this club. And so I must connect with those people when I write. Sometimes I don't, and either I won't send it out, or I send it out, totally falls flat. But most of the time, that's how I prepare. I just get into it. Can I imagine? I just imagine lots and lots. I don't really so much see people as like light, balls of light. Tons of balls of light in front of this my computer screen, and then there's just all these balls of light, and that's who I connect to, and that's who I talk to, and that's what I teach all my students. If their marketing is not landing, that's what I teach them. Do not. So many people are writing from scarcity or desperation or hitting it because they think they should, and I'm like, it's that energy. It's never going to land with your people. So first, you take the time. If you can't get to it, change whatever circumstance you need to change in your life, so that you're able to feel like your needs are being met, your practical needs so that you can connect with it. Otherwise, just don't bother, is my opinion.
I love that opinion. I think that so many people, especially in the kind of mindset world, they will fight with their minds to try to concoct like a better feeling. We're talking lots about feelings. When actually the issue is a challenge outside of themselves that needs to be resolved to make the whole thing feel safer, to make the whole thing feel aligned to it's very hard, I think, if one of the if this is for many businesses, but if you are part of the sales process, as we've kind of talked about, if you are not, your needs are not being met, if you're you are coming from scarcity or fear, you're now asking your clients to do something for you. It's no longer the generous offer of how you can help them. It's saying, please help me.
Yes.
Which is not at all the position we want to be in when we are the expert and the support person for someone else and trying to make their life better. We actually have to, I think this is why we talk about self-investment so much, is like, we have to have, it's the cliche of like, you can't pour from an empty cup. Your cup has to be very, very full so that your energy when you're selling and you're marketing and you're creating is clean, and it's for the people, not for what can I get.
Totally. So good. And for your listeners, anyone who you're learning from who doesn't make you feel fuller at the end, it's not for you. And the same thing, we might attract some clients from that space. They'll be the wrong clients. We won't love each other. They won't get what they need. We won't feel fulfilled. So it just doesn't end up getting you where you want to go.
And you mentioned
your mountain.
Yes. Not your mountain.
And the feeling that's present for me when I'm aligned with that is generosity.
Yes.
Right. You mentioned this in what you were saying, Aron, and this is often what you bring it back to is, does this feel generous? Do we feel like we are giving more than we are asking for? And, you know, in the world of corporate sales, you know, unless your offer is 10 times bigger than the price that you're asking for, you're never going to get a yes. So you have to be connected with the generosity of the offer, whether the price is just their attention, like, read this, it will be worth 10 times the amount of attention that you're going to give, or whether it's monetary, the feeling of I am providing overwhelming value in this moment for what I'm asking in return is not only how you're going to sell more, but how it's going to feel good and kind of support you as a human as well.
Right? And then that's what goes with your words, that generosity, that good feeling. So attractive. For both parties. So fun.
And I think, and it should be fun. Like you and I are constantly talking about like, is this fun? Was it fun? It's like, fun is probably the word in our relationship we both use most. I think people forget that this has to be fun, because a true visionary business, a true visionary life has to be connected with what you most authentically want to put into the world and how you want to leave the world after you're gone. If it's not bringing you tremendous amounts of joy, the struggle will never be worth it. The hard moments will never be worth it. You will not do some of the uncomfortable things that it takes to grow. Growth doesn't always have to be hard, but sometimes it is. Sometimes, like I like to say that business is the toughest spiritual teacher that I've ever had, because it does reveal all of the things that could otherwise be shoved under the carpet.
It's true. If you want to do it in an aligned, authentic way, yes, whatever's there has to be addressed before you do the thing you know you need to do. And we're not talking about fun like Disneyland fun. We're talking about like fun, like whole, full, growth-oriented fun that makes us feel full. And then we notice the opportunities that come to us. Opportunities come to us. We just don't have to, you know, be slogging up that mountain.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's the kind of fun where you get into bed at the end of the day and you're like, yes, that was
Yes.
my day. That was amazing.
Yes. Totally. Totally. Yes. I love it. Like today, my heart is, I'm in the middle of a launch and I have to figure out how am I going to completely change my entire messaging, even though tons of people have already bought it. So that feels like such a fun hard to do. I'm like, I know all those people are going to love this more. Also, it's an unusual thing to do.
Yeah.
But that's the hard, but it feels like so full and so like, oh my gosh, yes, let's roll up our sleeves, let's figure it out.
Yes, it's the puzzle fun of it all.
Yes, yes,
Like we
yes.
totally chose this, and it's a little hard,
Yes.
and who knows what it's going to look like at the end. But
Who
this is
knows, but
what
we'll keep going. We're going to keep going until it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fun.
Brilliant. Well, Bev, thank you for sharing your heart, your spirit, your wisdom with us. It's
Oh,
been wonderful to talk about these very important ideas. I was thinking about what we frame this episode as, and it's kind of a how to stand out through excellence. And you certainly embody that in your approach to business. Is how can I bring as much excellence to the craft of coaching, to the craft of selling, to connecting with people. You really are someone who embodies excellence in my mind. So thank you for sharing that with us
thank you,
today.
Steve. Thank you. Thank you. I love that you say stand out because the other thing that I love to teach my students based on, trying to do things that feel hard and they don't love doing is the minute it's being taught to you, it's already overdone.
yes.
Right? Somebody did it and worked well, but everyone's doing it. So standing out, yes, exactly, by connecting with what's my way. So I love that you pointed that out. Thank you, Steve. Thank you so
Well,
much. So I love that title.
hey, it just kind of came to me as Aaron and I were discussing what we wanted to touch on with you.
Oh,
And it actually made me realize that we didn't go too deep. And I think we do ourselves a disservice to leave this unexplored. But it's creating your own material. Many
Mhm.
of us learn the way that it's done, and then we kind of try to just sell our version of the way that it's done rather than create how we think it should be done or really question the how it
mhm.
should be done.
Mm.
And you mentioned early on with speech pathology that the we have no laurels to rest on, like not assuming that you have the answer, but always questioning.
Mhm.
How do you kind
Mhm.
of get over that fear of what if there's nothing there? What if this is the best
Ah,
there is, right? There's kind of a fear
okay.
factor that keeps a lot of people from venturing into the unknown.
Yes. So I'll tell you what, I think you need a lot of experience with the material you're taught. I think we need something to hold on to when we're new and we don't actually have the skills.
Mhm.
So we need what we learned, and we should not require ourselves to go and create something new when we have nothing to base it on.
Mhm.
See a lot of coaches thinking, I have to create my own program immediately. What are you basing it on? So I think go and get those 10,000 hours, build your muscle, get really good at a system that somebody else has created from their experience. As long as it aligns with you and it feels very, very right to work that way. And then it comes to you. As you're doing it, it comes to you, oh, I think this is how I could do this. Or somebody tells you something and it fits in with your years of experience with that person or your months, however long it takes you to get your 10,000 hours. And that's how you develop it. True, no rush, because there's so much good stuff out there. And the main thing is not to be too attached to it, as you said. Just because you think it's brilliant and it worked for you, keep it. It's wonderful. And also be open to what's going to come to you from a new teacher or from your own just ideas of how to add. And I'm totally adding stuff and always. In fact, this morning I was thinking, well, I have a new tool I need to teach my deep dive coaches that I learned a little snippet from a course I did that wasn't that useful to me, but a tiny snippet. Um, I do think, though, I mean, there are maybe people who can do it immediately, but I don't know if you would agree that it really helps when you have a really full knowledge of the work you're doing and the people you work with
Yeah,
in
I
order
think
to create it.
Absolutely. I mean, it also comes, usually it will come when you have that experience, plus there you see a need for it. And I think that's something
Yes.
I love about you, is like you're always open to learning things, you're curious about things, and you're often so far ahead of where you sense there could be a gap in something. You're like, oh, well, I'm going to make sure I know about the latest cutting edge research and the latest things that are coming out. You're always so far ahead of where most people are at. And then when the need comes up, you're like, I think I have something for that. I've been learning about
Oh,
this. I will say, just as a
thank you, Aaron.
just to add, like your program, how many years had you been a coach before you started your deep dive certification? Which,
Yeah,
by the way,
probably
everybody, I don't know if you're ever going to offer it again, Bev.
I
Best
am.
certification I've ever taken, and really
Oh,
gave us the inspiration to set up our Superabound leadership and coach training with our tools in a way that made people feel that good. And I like, just the way you did it was just so incredible. It's my favorite training of all time. But that wasn't like the day after you became a coach. That was well into
no,
your career.
probably like 11 years full time coaching, teaching many, many hours and continuing to do so. Yeah. Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
Highly recommend, yes.
Thank you so
But
much.
what you can
Thank you
all
so
do
much.
as you're listening right now is go join the monthly learning club. The deep dive club is going to be, I'm really excited to see all of the new additions to it. I always learn something, whether I tune in live or I'm able to catch a replay. I love that you make the ways to engage so accessible to everybody, and can't recommend that enough either.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. Anytime I can spend with Steve and Aaron is the best.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Bev.
Thank you.